You might be surprised to hear that one of the highest combat level bosses in the game, the Corporeal Beast, is actually easier to kill than the giant mole on my account, the Chop Chop, which is essentially a skiller with 75 HP. That's not to say Corp itself is a walk in the park, with each kill still taking roughly 10 minutes to complete. Nevertheless, I was able to obtain the 25 and 50 kill combat achievements, and shortly after got my first collection log slot from Corp, obtaining the Humble Spirit Shield at 87 KC. Don't worry, that's not the drop from the thumbnail, as my luck didn't stop there. Whilst attempting one of the other Corp CAs, I was absolutely sucker punched by receiving this right here. An Arcane Sigil at 105 KC, on Christmas Day no less. A nice 140 mil to continue funding this account. At an effective drop rate of 1 in 1365, it's fair to say this drop was a bit lucky, and it's nice to have such a rare drop on the collection log for this account. It joins the 1 in 1000 Dragon Pickaxe from KBD as one of the rarest items I've obtained on this account so far. If you're new here and wondering how I kill anything on Chop Chop, I collect Nightshade to make poison dynamite, and then use that to deal damage to a target without gaining any combat XP. My other accounts can assist via defense reduction to increase the dynamite's accuracy, or by reflecting damage back to finish off a target. Both of these methods done correctly allow kills to still be in Chop Chop's name. But to continue on, having now successfully killed Corp over 100 times with this account, there was one interesting game mechanic I wasn't even aware was possible that helped improve my methods slightly. The amount of damage Vengeance reflects is of course determined by the amount of damage you take. And since Corp's max hit with his stomp is 51, the more times I'm able to trigger Vengeance with my health being above that number, the better. Building from that, I learnt that venging after my HP hits 0 makes me respawn with Vengeance active, and it also goes on cooldown. So as I make my way back to the boss's room, it means the spell can be cast again sooner, meaning less time taken to kill Corp, resulting in a higher number of kills per hour. Even without the Arcane Sigil, the loot tab was still looking rather nice, mainly due to the 1 in 25.6 Onyx Bolt drop being 1.5 mil each. Inching closer to the medium combat achievements point threshold, I decided to pay some other bosses a visit, with a fair few of these having tedious but interesting ways of completing their tasks. The first Kalphite Queen combat achievement was nice and easy, simply last hitting the boss using Vengeance. It didn't even require me dealing any damage to KQ beforehand to complete this one. Off to a good start, yes, but what came next was a bit more challenging. This combat achievement requires you to kill the Kalphite Queen using only the Verax Flail. This relied on the spaghetti code of RuneScape, as I can only assume the game is simply checking no other weapon has dealt damage during the kill, and interprets this as the Verax Flail being used. I'm still able to deal the initial damage with the poison dynamite to earn the kill credit, as this also doesn't fail the task, but the only method of damaging the Kalphite Queen was with the retribution prayer, as this is also a damage source that doesn't fail this task. As retribution max is a 24, and the boss is a considerable run to get back to, even with the shortcut, I think you can imagine how long this is going to take. So, I applied defense reduction, eventually got a successful hit with the poison dynamite, and then it was just a case of slowly killing KQ using retribution. What you're seeing here is my third attempt at this task. The previous 2 kills both ended up in my mains name, and a friend suggested that this was due to multi-phase bosses like Kalphite Queen and Vetian, remembering all damage dealt to them even if they regenerate to full HP. That is why I could only use the vulnerability spell on this boss, as it deals no damage. With each of these attempts taking well over 30 minutes, I was happy to finally get this combat achievement done, knowing full well at some point in the future I will have to do 49 more kills here, which, with limited defense reduction, is going to use a whole lot of poison dynamite. Briefly returning to the chambers, the Ice Demon CAs were surprisingly pretty straightforward. All I really needed to do was find the right layout with an ideal Ice Demon room orientation. This would allow the Ice Demon to be safe spotted, and the poison dynamite could be used without risk of taking damage, as taking damage would fail one of the CAs. Like the KQ task, these tasks could only be done with retribution, so that's what I did, and compared to the time it took for the Kalphite Queen, this was much easier. The Giant Mole is another boss that has normal HP regen, it being 1 hit point per minute. Besides just getting kill count, my goal at the Giant Mole was to simultaneously complete 3 different combat achievement tasks. Giant Mole doesn't damage any account, it doesn't dig more than twice, and is killed in 4 or less hits. To summarize the process, I used a Serpentine Helm and Toxic Trident for a 100% chance of Venom application, then lowered my magic level and used a Cursed Magic Amulet to ensure my max hit is only a 1. Giant Mole being immune to Venom, it's immediately converted to poison, and this was repeated until it was dead. As long as the alt account's trident hits are lower than the damage dealt by Chop Chop's dynamite, Chop Chop still receives the kill credit. Getting very close to the medium combat achievements, I decided to aim for tasks I thought were going to be free points. Chaos Elemental can be set up in a way that stops it attacking those nearby. You defense reduce it, get the poison dynamite off, and then just venge it to death. This got me the task whereby none of my gear gets removed, but despite taking no damage on Chop Chop, and the CA task implying only you can't take damage, it was still failing due to the venge ults taking the damage. As the name of the task implies, I think flinching the boss and applying poison in the same way I did with the Giant Mole is how I'd go about completing this one. After the success at the Chaos Elemental, I moved on over to the Chaos Fanatic. This task was to kill him without taking damage from his special attack, which was another easy win. The only kinda silly thing about it was the fact that if any other player in the time that this Chaos Fanatic had been alive took damage from the special attack, this task would fail for you. Since some players use the Chaos Fanatic to die whilst training prayer at the Chaos Altar nearby, I'll admit, I found this out the hard way, but after trying again, I was successful in completing the task. Now, funnily enough, the remaining tasks I had at Wintertodt were enough to get me to the medium CA threshold. There's not really much to say about the tasks from a skilling boss, but I'm not complaining. I did have a look through the remaining tasks I believe Chop Chop can complete, and I should be able to reach the next threshold. It's going to be a long journey, but a journey that I hope will be entertaining to follow. As with all these progress videos, I'll conclude with the account summary. My hunter level is now high enough to catch black chins, which I'll be doing in the next video. Having 75 fishing means I can use the Infernal Harpoon, making Temporos significantly easier. My mining level is so high because I star mine on the account whilst I edit these videos, and there's just been a decent bump in the total level overall, despite it not really being the main focus at the moment. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you like what you saw, check out my other videos. Thanks.